I'm going to respond to a question in this one, and I won't try to even pronounce the name, but you know who you are. All right, the question is, let me get this closer so I can read it. Now that you have let go of this ego state, I am curious what's left when you wake up in the morning. How do you feel? How do you go to work? Do you have dreams or goals? Or is that the ego as well? How do we live in our lives? How do we live our lives? I'm teetering on the edge of letting go, but I have one fear. Will I lose all the things I love? What happens to my life when I let go of everything? But holding on hurts too bad to keep it up. If I let go, does that mean I lose my dreams because they are more than likely constructed from a sense of ego? Isn't ambition what drives us towards our goals? I just don't understand. I hope I'm not coming off rude. I genuinely desire to know. It's not rude at all. It's a perfectly fair question, and I had all the same questions before, so yeah, makes perfect sense to me. There's a lot of questions in there. All right, at the risk of not making this a half hour long, I'll hit on a couple of the main ones. So it really hit. I felt it reading that when you said, "I have one fear. Will I lose all the things I love? What happens to my life if I let go of everything?" Ooh, let's zero in on that one. So, here's what's happening. And I don't mean this in a negative or, I don't know how you're going to hear this, but I mean it with love, purely. Your ego is asking the question, will I lose all the things I love? What you're doing right now, if you're living from ego, is you're holding on to, you're grasping things that you think you love, but it's actually not real love. Because if you're scared of losing something, that's not love. That's want, and that's need, and that's security. Something that you think you love is giving you a feeling that you probably like or that makes you comfortable. So, this is not always easy to hear, but I'm speaking from my own experience. I'm not judging you at all. I went through this same thing. So I had thought that I had all these things in my life that I truly loved. What happened? When I started seeing through that, seeing clearly, and more of me was disappearing, and more truth was showing up. The truth was always there. We filter through it, and we miss a lot. So what you think is your life, all these questions coming from your ego, this is what's blocking you from seeing it clearly. So what I thought I loved actually wasn't coming from a pure place. I used to pray when I believed in God to purify my intentions, because I never wanted to act in a way that looked right to everyone else. I wanted my actual intentions behind what I did to be pure. I think that got answered over the years. So the dark night of the soul for me was losing everything that I thought I loved. I lost a lot. Friends, family, marriage, relationships, my sense of self, really everything. My pride. These things that you feel like you can't live without. But here's the thing, they're not truly what you love. They're what you're grasping, they're what you're holding on to. When you're able to see clearly what you're doing, everything that is not truly pure and coming from truth or love will be let go of. Not even purposefully, like I want to get rid of this. Like it just drops away. Because as you see through the filter that you're creating, as you see through that, you start to recognize what you truly love, what you're faking, this persona that you're putting up. And then the more that happens, it kind of takes on its own momentum. So it keeps happening more and more and more. And it might plunge you into a lot of hard situations, a lot of challenging situations, a lot of things that bring up real fear and emotion, like maybe what's behind some of these questions. And that's okay. All you can do is be present, feel it, and know that these thoughts and feelings are not going to kill you. Your ego will have you think you are actually going to die, but what is dying is the ego, which is the filter. So as this filter that you're seeing reality through starts to disappear, starts to die, it creates panic, it creates fear, and all of these questions, which are perfectly normal. I had every one of those questions. It feels like you are actually going to die, but that's because you're identified with the ego, which feels like you. So the weirdest thing happens. I mean, I got inches from unaliving myself. I was so bad. My dark night of the soul was intense. And then something shifted. It's like I hit rock bottom, and then something shifted. I don't know any other words to put there. And it's like I stood up. My ego stayed down. Whatever was left stood up and carried on, and I went about my day, and I started to slowly realize that something was different. I was still alive. I wasn't my ego. I felt really good. Things that needed readjusted were readjusted without any effort. Friends that I haven't seen now since my shift because they haven't texted or called because I was the one putting effort towards their relationship. I just stopped doing that. And I'm not even hurt about it. I'm not like, oh, I can't believe they didn't call me. All that's ego stuff. You're finally able to relax. So your real concern about losing what you love, it's losing what you think you love. That's probably not love. And what you're gaining is true love, which is being able to hold everything with an open hand. So my kids, they were born, they're under my care. My hand's open. Eventually they're going to leave. Now, if I grasp, that's not love. That's me needing something from them. That's me wanting to get something from them. That's pretty twisted. Eventually they're going to leave my house, and I'm going to wave them off. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll go again. And as long as my hands are completely open, that's what love is. Love lets things come, lets things go. Ego does the opposite. So if I have a bad feeling, if I have a fearful feeling, if I think, oh no, what's going to happen? Love lets my body feel that. Oh, here comes the feeling. Ooh, this is uncomfortable. Oh, I have sensations. It's moving through my body. I let it be there. I don't push it away. I don't resist it. I let it be there. And what happens is it goes through. It comes and goes. Ego will grab onto that and make all sorts of predictions and wrong ideas based on that feeling. And that feeling will stay for longer. So that's what you lose. You don't lose what you love. You lose all of this twistedness and manipulation and holding on and grasping and clinging that your ego is convincing you is love. That's what you lose. I'm sorry. It's really nice. But gosh, I remember when it was not. It is a really challenging process. So what happens if I let go of everything? That's exactly what you have to do. So this process is not, I'll give 10% and get 20, or I'll give 80% and then get the 100. Like there is no, you can give 10%, you can give 20, you can give 99%, and you will get nothing. You have to lose everything. You have to give it up 100%. because any holding on is just keeping the ego alive. And as long as the ego is alive, even 1%, it will continue to twist and turn and just mess with you. When you finally actually let go, and I don't mean conceptually, I mean, that's the part that's hard to explain, and you can't rush it. It's just part of the process. It's like an inner, it just happens. Like inside, you finally just get tired of the game, of the charade, and you're like, I quit. I'm out. I don't care who wins. I don't care anymore if I die. Like inside, energetically, you completely give up. That is when the shift happens. That is when you realize all of these questions and concerns don't matter. I know they do matter to you. I'm not trying to invalidate that. But if you keep moving forward with this, the process will eliminate the questions, not me answering them for you. That's kind of my main point here. That's why I don't answer every individual question, because it's the experience you're going to have, the process you're going to go through that will not even, your experience won't even answer these questions. It will annihilate them. I hope that made sense. You wake up in the morning when you go to work. Do you have dreams or goals? I generally feel good all the time, by the way. I used to. Okay, so I'm 37 now. So for 36 years of my life, I felt bad most of the time. I felt kind of scared, shy, different, sensitive, just not good. Like most of my entire life, I just felt like there was something wrong with me, and I just didn't feel good, like ever. I had fear and anxiety, and I wouldn't even be able to tell you that then. That was my normal state, so I didn't really know how bad I was feeling. Now I feel so good all the time, and so rested and peaceful and okay with whatever happens, that it's shocking to me to try to remember what I felt like before and how I even had any of these fears. Ugh. Like I said in my last video, it's like giving up a glass of water and gaining the ocean. Like it's not, there's no comparison. You think you're losing everything, but it's everything in your little tiny view, that the ego can only see this much. So you're giving up 100% of that, which you say is everything, but really everything is infinite. It's so wide you can't see it. That's what you're gaining when you give up that little sliver. So yeah, eventually you get to the place where it just doesn't matter anymore. Like there's nothing else. It becomes worth it to get to the place where you just give up and lose everything. And I can tell you from experience, you don't die. I'm still here talking about it. It's really, really nice. Your dreams, your goals, things you love, all that will get readjusted. And for every person, it's going to look different. That's why I'm not answering those specifically, because I don't know how that's going to work for you. But it does change. But it changes in a way that just feels natural. Say the wind is blowing through the trees. Nobody really asks, like, hey, is that wind blowing correctly? Like, why did it come from that direction and then turn? Shouldn't it have like gone a little farther and then turned into the next tree? Like, we don't question things like that, because we just know that nature has its own intuitive intelligence. So your body, your spirit, whoever you are, whatever is animating your body, has its own intuitive intelligence. The ego stops that intuitive intelligence from happening. Now, if you try to stop the wind, you got to create a lot of unnecessary contraptions. That's what the ego does. It tries to stop the natural intelligence. And it creates a lot of unnecessary thoughts and feelings and struggles. So when you let that go, your life is just free to blow in the wind, and you don't really feel concerned about it because you just know. Like, I know everything that I do or don't do or choices I make, if I can't decide, I just choose one because it doesn't matter. It will come back around in a good way. Yeah, it's just trading fear for peace and love. I hope that helps and it wasn't too long. All right.